Well, good evening, folks. It's the real Captain Kirk here. It's the 15th of October, 2022, here Saturday night. Again, a lot to talk about here today. Talk about some snow. Again, a four-letter word here, saying it this early in the season, but we'll have to talk about that here. First off here, a recap of last week, week ending 8 October. Now, this is a big map, is national weather trends versus a year ago. Our retail customers would look at the weather, and it was cold, 2.4 colder than last year. 11th warmest in 37 years for the U.S. overall, but again, very misleading because it was certainly cold east, warm west, extremely warm west. 39% drier than last year in the U.S., driest in 6 years, and 12th driest in 37 years. So below average precip trends continue for sure. We'll look at some other cold spots. Warm spots would actually be up in Europe, third warmest in 37 years. So they've had a big change here for warmer weather. Australia still continuing their cold trends. Like cold winter, now cold spring. Coldest in 10 years, third coldest in 37 years. So very cold down under. Map since it left are the temp and precip trends versus average. Hate to say that four-letter word snow, but we have to talk about it here. Good news is last year it was off to a very fast start in the Rockies, Northwest, with 10% of the country covered in snow on this date, October 15th. This year, only just less than 2%, with a little bit of snow up there in northern Minnesota, northern Wisconsin. So below average. Again, this time of year, we'd have closer to about 3% snow cover. So again, a little less than last year, obviously, but and nowhere near what we had in 2018. Again, all that warm weather in the west is just keeping the snow at bay here for now. One thing that's also at bay is COVID. This time last year, to recall, we were starting to worry about an Omicron variant that led to this massive, huge surge that you can see here, but just was off the scale around Christmas time last year. Now, the good news right now is we don't really see any variants that you probably haven't already had right now. So again, we'll see if that can keep the spike down compared to last year's horrific spike in COVID. Looking at flu on the left here, again, that's not so lucky here. We're, again, back to a type A flu season like we had last year, and we're trending above last year. In fact, we're already above baseline, that little red triangle there. So last year, as you recall, we had a type A flu season that spiked, again, right at Christmas time. So it was a double whammy with COVID and flu, rampant, and then flu pretty much trailed off. Let's hope that's the case. Australia also had, again, cold winter, and they also had a big type A flu season. So there's a chance here that we had type A last year, they had type A this year. Maybe, again, there's some immunity here in the U.S. Since a lot of us probably had type A last year. So we'll see. This could be another short spike season and not a really long bad season like you see there, that 1920 season that was obviously pretty bad with COVID. This week, again, week ending 22 October here, it's cold. Here in the U.S., we're trending 5 degrees colder than last year, coldest in 5 years, ninth coldest in 37 years. So a little more widespread here on the cold, invading the central U.S. and even the south. West is still on the hot side. That may be changing too here, but again, warm west and generally cold central and east. Precip, again, almost non-existent, 43% drier than last year, least in 9 years, second least in 37 years. So again, the typical La Nina, cold PDO, warm AMO. Again, we're in a cycle that has really only happened about twice in 157 years right now, if you look at those three major climate indices. So again, unfortunately, that's a dry cycle, and good news, bad news is we're going to come out of that in epic fashion here, we think, in 2023, 2024. So flooding will become the theme. And if there's any rain, it'll be there in the unusual area of the southwest U.S. We look at the 6-day snowfall outlook here. Again, we got this reinforcing shot of very cold air, obviously heading into the central and east. So you can see the lake effect kicking into gear here. So we've got some even some 12-inch plus amounts there south of Sault Ste. Marie. So again, not much, but again, it is lake effect, and again, not much out west, but at least 'tis the early part of the season here. If we look at October snowfall index, now this is across 260 major U.S. cities, not much, again, way below what we had last year, 83% less than a year ago, 86% below average, least in 8 years, third least in 37 years. So we've had some snowy starts here in October, as you can see back in 18, 19, 20, even last year was more average with the western snow, but way down here so far, October this year, despite the much colder trends here in October. Again, next week, again, hard to believe the end of October, just warp speed here, how quickly fall is going by here. 2.5 degrees colder than last year, 18th coldest in 37 years, so near average on a national scale, but again, you can see the warmth in the west is definitely eroded, so that's some good news. That'll move some seasonal merchandise sales and things that they haven't had to buy just yet. They'll probably be doing some pantry loading and starting to be thinking about fall. And again, non-existent rainfall. Again, probably overdone here in terms of dryness because models just don't see a lot out there, and there probably isn't a lot out there, but it's certainly probably going to be a little more rainfall than depicted here, but again, not much. If we aggregate these 2-week trends here for the world overall, so this is 16 through 29 October. Big map here now is temp trends versus average. We see, again, cold for the eastern 2/3 of the country, warm out west and warm for Western Canada, but that trend too is moderating. So again, they may cool off a bit. So again, an uptick in sales for them out there. Europe on the warm side. So again, continue their warmer trends. So with that, folks, we hope you have a great weekend here, great week ahead, and we will be back here again next week.